For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's Wednesday practice leading up to their game against Colorado on Saturday. If you watched yesterday's instant analysis, I asked you, could there be potential for USC to drop this game? But it's funny, Clay Helton kind of answered that in his post-game presser today. He said he's very much aware that Colorado has lost games by very short margins, and then it's not only lost on him that it's their senior day, it's also their blackout game, so it's going to be an affair, and so USC really needs to bring their best against Colorado.
Yeah, and I think the games they've lost have mostly been games where, as he said, he used the 48-minute mark, but games which they control. Mm-hmm. And looks like we'd be in the press box at a USC game and we're watching their score, and okay, looks like Colorado's going to win this game, and all of a sudden, they didn't win this game. And you don't know, what does that do to a team? Does that say, oh man, what's the point? We keep leading these games and then we lose. So what frame of mind are they going to be in when you get there on Saturday? That's a big part of trying to, read, going to a Colorado, for example, at this time of year. I think Clay, made a very good point that this could be, get some bowl eligible, senior day, all of those kinds of things that you got to factor in. And, you don't want this to be, after showing up to play against the two Arizonas, you do not want this to be the game that you don't show up to play.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, Helton said that there's not really much to update today. The big question will be tomorrow. He says he hopes to get guys back, including Uchenna Nwosu, who he said his ankle's feeling better. He's making more progress. So it sounds like they're going to get some guys in practice, the closed practice tomorrow, see how they're feeling. But it could beg the question, and we'll see maybe some younger guys. We definitely saw Jordan Iosefa at that predator position. We may see Levi Jones as well on Saturday.
Yeah, we saw Levi and Olawale Batuku. Yeah. So you could have a really young group of outside linebackers. We didn't see Uchenna yesterday. We saw him today. He's walking awfully well on that ankle. You couldn't tell which ankle. I mean, they didn't have him in cleats. They didn't have him in pads. But the way he was standing around, you would probably bet that he'll be ready to go Saturday. But, a kid like Levi, when you talk to him, he said, he can't wait. He's training. He's still doing both inside and outside linebacker. But he said, I played there in high school. I'm ready to go. I'm looking forward to it. And Jordan Iosefa is kind of encouraging him and said, hey, they threw me into the middle of the Notre Dame game, and it went out. It went okay. And then last week he's at Predator, and it looks okay. So, or he's in there with Uchenna, and so. It might be a really young outside group, though.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing, though, is Helton said that they're looking at Christian Rector. From our perspective, he looks like he's going to be out for a while, but Helton said that they could potentially club that broken hand of his and see if he could go against Saturday. But another guy we forgot to mention, Toa Lobodon, set out for another day. Are you concerned at all? Austin Jackson is playing in his spot, but are you concerned at all about Toa's progress?
Yeah, I think that one's more of a question. I think Uchenna is less of a question than Toa. But today we saw him in a sleeve, and we're not seeing him. We're not seeing him do much of anything. We're seeing Tyler Petit doing, some things. We're seeing Christian. Uchenna, I think they know. I think they have a good idea what's going to happen with Uchenna. I don't think we know with Toa. I think that's one that I'm probably not going to even take a guess watching him stand around the last 2 days. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's Wednesday, which means it's a defensive day. We got to talk to the defensive guys. Who'd you talk to, and did anything stand out in particular?
Well, I think Clancy is, now it's to the point where he said, about putting young guys in or new guys in or whatever. He's saying it's more, we become a plug-and-play team. You just, plug in the next guy and play him. And the fact that they've done that with Christian Rector, and you can't play any better than he did, and they've done it with Jordan Iosefa. They've been very fortunate with the plug and play guys. So it's kind of like next guy up. And let's face it, they're in a place probably most people would not have guessed USC would be in right now. They're leading the nation in sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have guessed that? I mean, they've done a lot of stuff the last couple of weeks, and have risen to the challenge. So I think they're fairly optimistic about what they ask guys to do, they're going to be able to do. So, and they have. I mean, they did a wonderful job, let's say, with Marvell Tell being the guy that was going to chase Khalil Tate much of the day. And said he got tired as heck, but they did a great job, for most of that game, keeping Khalil Tate in check. So I thought one of the interesting things Clancy said is one of the reasons he thinks that they're doing so well in getting sacks is they're playing really well on first down, forcing teams to be a little bit, have to go for it a little bit more on second and third downs, giving them more opportunities to go for the sacks. And he said, simply they're playing better at the line of scrimmage and they're tackling better. And that's given them a better first down against teams and making teams have a little tougher deal on second and third downs.
Interesting. Practice today seemed a little bit fun. There's a fun mood to it. It almost seems like ever since before the ASU game when they had that team meeting and then they're having more fun, they seem more together. How would you describe this team now that they've had that kind of meeting and had that under their belt?
Yeah, I think they know what's okay to do and how do you do it and still keep the context of exactly what you're trying to do. I mean, it's a case of, I think we were talking about a little bit yesterday, is a team learning how to practice and how to practice how to do what they do in practice in the way they have to do it to carry it over till the game. And so far, with what we've seen of the young guys and their development in recent weeks, they've been able to do that. So I think that allows them to feel like they're having some fun at practice because they feel like they're also getting done what they need to get done in practice. So it kind of all goes together. So far, I mean, the last 2 weeks have definitely been on the upward trajectory with this team.
Mm-hmm. As far as playing at Colorado goes, Chris Hawkins was saying today, the last time they were there, he got shortness of breath. He had to get an IV when they were up there. Jordan Iosefa, the Hawaiian native, said he's never been in less than 40-degree weather. Uh-huh. How much does that really affect those guys?
You could have put an IV in me the last time. It was I think it was the coldest start of USC football, second coldest. I think it was 27 degrees and it was heading downward. And because the air is so, you're so high and it's so dry, and then you've got the you're 5,400. I think 5,430 feet is the elevation at Boulder. So you're mile high plus, and that all adds up to you just don't feel like you've got quite enough. But I think it was interesting that Chris pointed out that because not only you're not hot, you're not just high, you're dry, and that. The two things play together, and all of a sudden you think, I just don't have any breath, and they've done really well. I've been amazed, having been there for a couple of those really bad weather games up there, and USC I think has adjusted awfully well, but it's not a walk in the park, and usually you can get through 3 hours and get out. But it gets close in some of those games in terms of having to be hydrated. I think the dryness might be as much of a problem as the highness.
Interesting. You and I will both be in Boulder. Any final thoughts before we head out there? What is your assessment of this team this week?
Well, final thoughts about going to Boulder. I always want to get there early because I want to watch Ralphie work out. They get ready with Ralphie, and they do Ralphie a run, and they've got all those wranglers, and they're making that turn, and they're getting flipped around, and it's just, I mean, Traveler's a great mascot, but Ralphie's the best. I mean, wow. Ralphie is Ralphie's the best, and just watching Ralphie, do that practice run, and they've got the trailer right there, and Ralphie runs into that trailer and all that. It's really cool, and they do that well before the teams come out, so you can actually see Ralphie do that twice if you get there, and it's just a big highlight for me as far as that's concerned. As far as this football team, this is a week for them, as President Nikias was talking about. He was a little surprised. He said that this team went from 17th to 11th this week in the college football playoff rankings, and he said, "What do you think? Do you think they're, is that where they ought to be?" I think they should be. I mean, I think of all the 2 lost teams, I think they have the best talent, and I think they've got the highest upside. And I think, and Max even said, I said, they do see we've got some really good players. And USC has some, when you've got Sam Darnold and Ronald Jones and Cameron, Smith and Uchenna Nwosu and Deontay Burnett and all that, your upside is pretty great.
Yeah.
I think people overreacted to USC's losses because they had them, so far up, and then I think it was easy for people to drop them back down. So I think that's a good place for them to be this week. But I do think it's a place for them to say, we really should be in the top 10, and then we should go, higher than that and get into that championship game and see where it takes us. But I do think this is a step that I think Clay likes to talk about every game as a playoff game. I think this is, a classic example of you got to come ready to play. As much as it's a big deal for the Colorado people, this is a really big deal for USC to get themselves into the championship game, and you've got UCLA, left, and then you've got, you'll finally get that bye.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Although USC fans, and this is one of the reasons I probably haven't complained much about the bye. Going into this week, there are 5 teams in the Pac-12 that have yet to have a bye. 5. Never been like that before. The most in history is 1. Pac-12, the theory is that because of the TV contracts, they can't let teams off because they don't have enough teams to supply for some of these games. And so, for example, in the Big Ten and the SEC right now, there are 0 teams who haven't had a bye, and 5 in the Pac-12 who haven't. So for those who are unhappy about USC's situation in regard to the byes, it's not just USC, it's 5 Pac-12 teams. Wow. So another thing we can write down and say, what the heck are they doing at the Pac-12? Not very much good.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess it's going to wrap it up here at USC for USC's Wednesday practice. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.